Welcome to the Gay Liberation Network on CAN TV. I'm Andy Thayer, and with me tonight is a longtime member of our coordinating committee, Bob Schwartz. Tonight's topic, as you saw from our intro there, is going to be the topic of equal marriage rights. We had a brilliant victory in California just a few weeks ago. Bob, could you tell our viewers a little bit about just what happened in California?
Well, there were two couples, a gay male couple and two lesbians, who had filed suit challenging Proposition 22 in California, which had decided that a marriage was to be between one man and one woman. They challenged this on the basis of its not affording equal protection under the law to same-sex couples. On the very day that they filed, Gavin Newsom, the mayor of San Francisco, had directed his staff to start performing same-sex marriages. So their suit had been eclipsed a little bit by what Newsom had done in San Francisco. But nevertheless, the suit went forward. It was subsequently joined by some others who had been married in San Francisco and who had their marriages subsequently overturned. And the court ruled about 10 days ago with three of the four judges being Republicans, that indeed the denial of same-sex marriage in California was a violation of the California state constitution. So it ordered that the marriages go forward, and that may happen as soon as June 14th or 15th.
That sounds about right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and what was truly sweeping about this decision is that it said that gay and lesbian people were basically being denied our rights under the Equal Protection Clause of California state constitution, that we were a so-called suspect class, a class that historically has been discriminated against, and that there was no reason for this discrimination to go forward except for outright bigotry and hatred, something that certainly made our friends on the religious right go into all sorts of upheaval. They explicitly said the whole idea that gay people marrying, that lesbian people marrying people of the same gender would somehow hurt heterosexual marriages. They said that it was a load of bunk, which anyone who bothers to think about it for more than 10 seconds would agree with it. If you're so insecure in your heterosexual marriage that two men marrying or two women marrying would destroy it, then I'd say that says something about not gay marriage, but about your own marriage. And I think it's important to note that we live in a country that had a 50% divorce rate well before lesbian and gay people started getting married. And you look just north across the border, Canada has had equal marriage rights for several years now without the sky falling in. You know, arguably, Canada's a far healthier society than the United States on any number of indices. Bob here and his partner Ruffin were both married in Toronto. Just was it about a year and a half ago now? Is it?
Well, no, it's about 3 years ago.
3 years ago now.
And the sky didn't fall in in Canada either. And my brother and sister-in-law were there to witness the ceremony. I'd like to mention another thing about the California Supreme Court decision. The author of that decision, the Chief Justice,
yes.
In an interview that he gave to the Los Angeles Times, pointed out that as a child he had gone through the American South and noticed the Jim Crow segregation there, separating whites and blacks. And he didn't say that gay marriage and black rights were the same thing, but he clearly made the point that that discrimination was wrong. I mean, he realized that as a child when he saw the segregation that was imposed on black citizens in the southern part of the United States. So he said that made an impact on him, and it clearly influenced the direction of his decision in this marriage equality case.
Well, and I think it's important to note that California also led the nation in overturning the so-called anti-miscegenation laws, the laws that prevented African Americans from marrying white people and people of other races back in 1948. They led the nation in that, and the country, in terms of the polls, was overwhelmingly against this idea of allowing African Americans to marry people of other races. And in spite of that, the California Supreme Court, way back in 1948, did the right thing. In fact, even as late as the so-called Loving decision, which overturned these racist laws nationally, still at that point an overwhelming majority of the American populace was opposed to allowing African Americans to marry people of their own choosing. And so the right-wing argument that gay people shouldn't be allowed to marry whom they choose because it goes against popular opinion or whatever, I think is a load of bunk. That sometimes civil rights decisions, like the landmark Board of Education versus Topeka, Kansas, I should say Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas decision, come in the face of very bigoted public opinion, and people should have the intelligence to realize that sometimes the court gets ahead of public opinion. Now, as it turns out, the latest poll from the Mercury, I believe it's News Sun, it's the Mercury, California newspaper, has come out saying that now, for the first time, a majority of Californians polled, registered voters, are in favor of equal marriage rights. Truly an historic change, as the tide of public opinion appears to be moving dramatically in our own direction.
Well, the enemies of equal rights in California are trying to get a stay on the court's decision, and we of course hope that they're not successful in doing that, because once the marriages begin, as was shown in Massachusetts, where marriage equality has been the law and has been practiced on the ground now for several years. Once the marriages begin, the opposition to it melts away. Not all of it, not the hardcore, but many people who might have some reservations about it see again that the sky hasn't fallen in, that the sun hasn't stood still, and that life goes on, and that marriage equality doesn't do anything except convey a whole bunch of rights to people who don't now have them, and is a way of sanctioning the love that people have for one another.
Well, it's about legal equality. I mean, even if you, as a gay or lesbian person, do not want to get married, it should be your right. It's not to say that equal marriage rights is the be-all and end-all, or that legal equality is the be-all and end-all, as we've seen with other discriminated against groups in this society, that simply because you win formal legal equality doesn't mean that there aren't a whole host of other issues out there that need to be addressed. In the case of the gay and lesbian community, issues of violence against young people in the schools, the deplorable state of sex education in the schools, where young lesbian, gay, bi, and trans people are not supported. And so you just, for example, in California, just a few months ago, had a 14-year-old murdered due to anti-gay hate. So this is not to say that legal equality in terms of case of equal marriage rights is going to solve everything for our community. But when you haven't even gotten to the point where you have legal equality, you're not citizens in this country. I mean, citizenship is defined as people having equal legal rights with their peers, and we haven't even gotten there in terms of the LGBT community, and we need to get there.